If you own a boat, you know you must have a place in your heart for boat work. Today, we got some boat work, folks. So for those of you that have been kind of following us in any stretch, you know we kind of fought an oil leak in our Universal 25XP diesel engine that powers our Catalina 30 liveaboard. We've constantly had that issue since the purchase of the boat. I initially thought I had resolved it, but I have not. And we've made it all the way here to Deltaville, Virginia, and have made some decisions we want to resolve that situation, because ultimately our plan is to keep this boat for another year or two. We want to go to the Bahamas with it. We need to have a reliable motor that I don't want to have to worry about. Another thing is I don't know how many hours are on this engine, so makes me leery, I suppose. I'm sure it's original to the boat, but when is the last time it was refreshed? I don't know. So today, we're going to start the process of removing a Universal M25XP diesel engine out of a Catalina 30 sailboat. This has not necessarily been documented front to back before. It has it a little bit. If you have, if you're, you've looked around for this type of video, Catalina 30s and maintenance, you'll see a lot of stuff from Sailing Project Artemis and my good buddy over there, Brian. He's done a lot of work and done a lot of video recording of that and documenting that. Well, I want to try to just kind of add to that and kind of go over some of the things that, for you DIYers, those that are going to be doing it yourselves, kind of add to the things that you need to look out for. So it's all going to have to start somewhere. Lisa and Ainsley are gone for the day, which is good. As you know, space is a premium on these boats, especially when you've got when it's your whole world. So we got a lot of stuff to do, and it has to start here. This is our dinette table that's usually on that wall. It is currently out. This is actually where I work every day. This is kind of our area where we function as a family all day. So this has to be cleaned up and organized, because those of you that don't know, that Universal M25XP is under this settee cushion, right underneath the kitchen counter, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a bad thing because it is a complicated thing to get into here. Not a whole lot of access without removing that counter. But the good thing is it's right above our hatch. So we're going to be able to pull this engine straight up and out of here without too much stress, I hope, anyway. So we need to start working on getting this organized. I guess, you know what? Let's just do this, because you're not going to want to see this. Hey, I guess that still works. So we got the cushions off. That wasn't a whole lot, but this is kind of started to give us access to the back side of this cushion, which I didn't realize the backing from that, or next to that sink, was so bad. We got to clean that up. So essentially now you kind of start to see what we're dealing with. Under here is where the engine is stored. This panel comes up. I'm trying to hold something under my arm there, but this panel comes up and you have access to the front half of the engine. But what you need access to is this back here. A large, pretty much second half of the engine, transmission is all accessible back there. So that's where you definitely need to get access back there. That is where then removing the counter, sink assembly and all of that comes into play. Now, it's not overly difficult. We've transitioned back here behind the sink, and all we need to do is remove these two screws right here. And that screw right there. And then there's 3 underneath here. We also have got to undo all of our, oh, Lisa didn't clean this out for me, but that's okay. We've got to undo all of our sink connections. And then there's 2 up on the shelf that we need to do. And I will show those to you. But we're going to start pulling these 3 out here. And you can do that with a screw gun. You could do that with a Phillips head screwdriver, whatever works for you. But I'm going to start with just a really low power drill and just pop these 3 top out first. Okay, so now that we've got these top 3 removed and my light's messing with the GoPro, I apologize about that, but there's going to be, it is disgusting under here first of all, but there's going to be a screw over here on this back panel right there at the fingertip. There should be another, but what I'm going to do is, what you need to do is start disconnecting. I got a sync link as well. Start disconnecting your lines. So I'm going to unscrew this, unscrew that one back there to the second sink, get these supply lines hooked up or unhooked, and get those out of the way. That should give us visibility to, there's another screw right there that we'll have to take, and then that should give us visibility to the one, I believe, that's back there. So far, pretty straightforward. Okay, so we have our drains disconnected, and then these are my supply lines. I had a little bit of an issue, and you can see here, I took the hose clamps off. However, these fittings are if they're not original, they're probably 20 years old. So what I did is I came up here, took these, unloosened these nuts. I'm gonna have to just get some thread tape to seal these back up tonight. That's okay. One other thing I noticed that I've got to do is disconnect my anti-siphon here. Not disconnect it, but unscrew it. So I'm going to do that here in just a moment. And then there's just one other screw back here that I've not picked up yet, just because I need to get up and go get a screwdriver that's going to fit back there. My wrench or my drill won't. I think I figured out why my sink's leaking. So anyway, we're going to get that all sorted out. And we're down to 2 screws left. This is not, I mean, obviously working in this space is not super easy, but this is not an overly complex job either. So don't be intimidated to try it and do it. I probably should pull these drawers out too, but we'll do that here in just a moment. So let's get this anti-siphon off the wall. So we got that hardware out. Now it's time to take the stove and lift it up. Everything's a mess at this point just because you're working with such a confined space. But anyway, we're just going to lift this stove straight up and set it back down, take it out of the 2 gimbal holders so that it comes free from this countertop. Okay, so I had to go do some research. I had everything disconnected, but this thing was not moving, and I felt like there was an attachment point, and I found it. So take a look. So right here, where these 2 pieces of wood join, there's a screw that sets in there to help kind of hold all this together. So that makes a lot of sense now. This should, in theory now, slide right out. Let me go see if I could do that. I had nowhere to set the camera. I'd do this live, or do this while recording, but I really don't have anywhere to set the camera, so I'm not going to be able to do that. Okay, she's out. In the grand scheme of things, if I knew where that other screw was, that wouldn't have been that difficult, but it certainly wasn't easy. Unfortunately, though, discovered an issue that we were not expecting. Rot. Just completely soaked, rotten. That has been that way for years, if I were to hazard a guess. So unfortunately, well, fortunately, it just goes down to glass. You can just see all this stuff. We gotta get this out of here. This is just the fiberglass hole. So that's the good news. And this is just the countertop. It's just that particle board crap that people cut countertops out of. So it's not that big of a deal. We knew we had a leaky stanchion, but we thought it just recently started. Clearly that is not the case. It has been this way probably for 10 years, and that wood has just rotted out. But I digress. That's out. Now we are able to take immediate action here and start working on this. This makes me feel good. We're in here. Now that I have full visibility to everything, we're going to be able to get this out of here, I think. Not easy, but a lot easier than I was expecting. So this feels good. We're going to start by disconnecting. I'm going to disconnect the exhaust elbow. Some of this we're going to leave on here because the guy that's going to be rebuilding for me is going to take a look at everything. So I'm going to leave this on here. I'm going to leave the alternator on. I may pull the starter because I know I want to replace that anyway. We'll go ahead and disconnect a coupler. Really, my biggest concern is wiring harness. Documenting where all of that came off of so that I know where it goes back on. And then as well as my hose work. Getting all that straightened out. It is disgusting in here, but we knew that was going to be the case due to the leak we had. So yeah, this is really good. I'm gonna spray all this down with PB Blaster again while I take a little bit of a break, and then we're gonna get started pulling this out. I don't think I got lucky with my exhaust elbow. That's okay. I mean, I prefer to do it now, but man, she's pretty smoked. Unless this sandblasts off, and it may, but I'm not optimistic. It's really interesting. There was an adhesive on that fiber tape that maybe it was the adhesive off the fiber tape that has just got this stuff in it, but she looks wrecked. Exhaust elbow off. Really, ultimately now all I need to do is manage the wiring, unhook the water pump, and just kind of general hose maintenance. What I'm going to do, and I'll show that here just a little bit, is mark all this stuff. At least it's on our way back, actually, with some labels, so that I know where things went. And then, I mean, really, I'm going to pick it out just like this. So, should be pretty straightforward. We've got most electronics unplugged. Well, we do have all electronics unplugged. Everything's disconnected, labeled appropriately. Everything that's going to stay in the boat. So any of the hosing that's staying in the boat, anything that is not coming out is labeled and disconnected, with the exception of the shift and throttle linkage. And then one bolt left in the shaft coupler. I couldn't get that last one. There was a nut in the way, and I was using a ratchet, and it's pain. So anyway, I got a tool coming for that. It'll be here next couple days. And then mounts, motor mounts, which ones are disconnected, one's halfway disconnected. Again, just for simplicity's sake, going to get the right tools to come and do that versus fighting with it for an hour. I think we're 85% there. So yeah, one thing that I don't know if I did a clip on or not, it's unfortunate, is our exhaust riser. You saw earlier wrapped up in a bunch of fiber tape, which is supposed to be done. But whenever I unwrapped it, this thing really smelled like a bunch of adhesive, and I don't know what. I don't know if that contributed to the rusting. I don't see any super bad pitting. I think if this is sandblasted, it may not be as bad as it looks. I mean, to me, it looks like a really bad case of surface rust, but I don't know. So I think ultimately what I'll have to do is try to get this sandblasted, see what comes of it. If it comes clean and it looks good, we'll reuse it. If not, we're gonna have to buy another one, unfortunately. The gasket and everything looked good. This surface looked really good. I mean, it's gummy, but that's not a big deal. Otherwise, really no super big surprises. I do want to say that I'm a little concerned about mounts, and hopefully they have not wiggled too much, or the stringers in here have not rotted. But I think I've got a plan for that if they need a little bit of work. So ultimately, I think I'll call this 85% here. We're going to stop here, put everything back together. Obviously, we live here, so we've got to put everything back and get everything back in order. And then next weekend will probably be the weekend this comes out. I'm going to get a chain hoist and literally just lift it overhead. And of course, we'll catch a video of that. So anyway, we're going to sign off right here. If you haven't already done so, like, subscribe, comment, do all the things. If you've done this before and you've got suggestions on how I should be doing things differently, or if you have any thoughts on how this should have been done, or really anything, feel free to comment below. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, we'll see you later.